Hello, friends, and Happy New Year to you. I'm just putting the finishing crimp on my first run of 223 for 2019 and thought I'd share some thoughts with you while I did it. They say, or I've heard it said at least, that freedom is guarded, or liberty is guarded, in 4 boxes. One of those is the soapbox, which I'm on right now, I guess. Some soapboxes, and this started back long ago before the internet and before microphones and all that, where a guy would gather a crowd if he had something to say, and they need to be elevated to get the speaker above the crowd so his voice would carry to those in the back. So a lot of times they just stand on a box, whether it be a soapbox, apple box, or whatever kind of box was handy at the time. That's why when you go to a live performance, the performers are still up on a stage so the people in the back can see them, and it echoes back to a time when it was so they could hear them prior to the big, theaters we have today. And in the Roman amphitheaters, they had a little bit of acoustic technology there. It was getting the voices back there, but that's a whole nother topic. I'm getting way off base and off in the weeds there. I'm known to ramble sometime. But anyway, some soapboxes today aren't as friendly to some voices as they were in the past. It's kind of well known that YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and all the other big tech giants kind of censor some people's soapbox. So, odds are you probably won't even see this. And I'm just a little guy anyway. But it doesn't change the fact that sometimes technology does kind of hinder that soapbox. But that doesn't stop you from getting on it. And one of the things y'all all should do is get on your soapbox and write your legislators about whatever's on your mind. Because the wonderful thing about that is, while these social media soapboxes have a lot of power, and they really do, that old-fashioned letter to that congressman, to that president, to that city councilman, whoever the case may be, has a lot of power too. And it can't be censored like YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat or whatever social media platform you're currently on. And if you can ever get in front of one, like I'm so lucky to do, for a lot of times I'm able to get in front of my legislators because of my job now, and as a city councilman in my little city, little hometown, and just a lot of different reasons and a lot of luck, I've been able to get in front of my congressman and talk to him one-on-one. And if you can get an opportunity to do that's great too. But just remember, don't yell, scream, and be an idiot. And then, actually, I've been known to do that too. You know what I'm talking about, Senator Charles Perry. But, hey, enough on that soapbox. The other box that they say liberty is kept in and freedom's kept in is the ballot box. Now, I can't begin to stress enough how important that is. Your vote does count. It counts very high. A lot of you are sitting out there going, man, I can't believe the Democrats took the House. Did you vote? They did. They were motivated. They got out there. They shook the trees. Beto, me and him don't get along, never will, but he get out there and he worked. He worked hard. He had people convinced and he had people working for him. The other side of the coin, the Democrats, the left, whatever you want to call them, they're angry. They got out there and they voted. They exercised their right. They got out there and voted. They did what it took. every vote counts, you know, and then a lot of times you'll hear now, oh, we won the popular vote in the House. Well, guys, that's not how it works. There's no popular vote in the House. The only time you have a popular vote in the Electoral College is in the presidential election. But that's a whole other deal altogether. But they do control the House of Representatives, the people's house. And for you Republicans out there, y'all's the one that let them do that. I know a lot of you. I know a lot of you right here in my hometown. I know some of you in my own family that didn't get out and vote. And I know you look at life pretty much the same way as I do now. I'm pretty conservative on a lot of things. Pretty libertarian on a lot of others. Kind of liberal on some things too. One thing I'm very conservative about is the Bill of Rights. Took an oath to swear and uphold and defend and all that other stuff with it a long time ago. Now, I know you're sitting there thinking, well, you're loading ammunition, so you must only be talking about the Second Amendment, right? Well, that's an important one. We'll get to that later. But, you know, it's also the First Amendment. I hear a lot of babble out there about, oh, we've got these Muslim Congress people now, and they can't even swear on our Bible. We don't have a Bible. Yeah, a lot of the founders were Christians. A lot of stuff is, you know, you can find it in Judeo-Christian law and stuff like that on our founding. And there's a little bit of argument to be made for that, but that's neither here nor there. The First Amendment is the First Amendment, folks, just like the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. Somebody wants to be a Jew, they can be a Jew. If they want to be a Muslim, they can be a Muslim. If they want to be an atheist, they can be an atheist. So, folks, we got to defend that as hard as we defend this. And the rest of those Bill of Rights, those are important things, you know. Searches, seizures, all that other stuff, guilty and proven innocent. There's a reason why those things were put in there first, and there's a reason why they're called the Bill of Rights. Now, here's a challenge for you. There was a Supreme Court case, and I'm not going to tell you the name of it, but part of the presiding theory on that when the case got resolved by the Supreme Court was that some rights were meant to be above the legislative process. In other words, they weren't to be messed with by the legislature. And they weren't to be messed with by popular opinion, because popular opinion or not, we're not a democracy or a republic. And the foundation of our republic, listen to me now, is those Bill of Rights. That's what you're voting for whenever you vote. You're not voting for a Democrat, you're not voting for a Republican. You may be, but what you should be voting for is who is going to hold up that Bill of Rights. And I try to do some weird reinterpretation of it. That was meant then, this was meant now, and all that other stuff. They were written for a simple man to understand, or a simple woman, or whatever the case may be. That's what you're voting for. So think about that when you go vote. But please, no matter what, exercise your right to vote and try to be a smart voter. Talk to your candidates, research them a little bit. Don't vote on emotion in the ballot box. You know, find you what issues work for you and cast your ballot. Get out there and vote. And hey, just because I'm majority identify as a Republican, I'm going to push the Republican platform for the most part. So Republicans, whenever you sit around a campfire and you drink your beer or whatever you do, then you complain about the Democrats having the House. Did you vote? And did you encourage like-minded individuals to get out there and vote too? Welcome to the Republic. Now, the other place we can find liberty guarded is in the jury box. That's what they say. You know, it comes down to that old saying, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Have you ever heard that one? I've heard it a lot. You know, we're responsible for what we do, right and wrong, good or bad. And that's why sometimes it has to go to the jury box, because right and wrong and good and bad aren't always black and white. There's shades of gray in there. We've got laws all across the United States, both federal, local, state, and sometimes we run afoul of those. Sometimes we run afoul of those whenever we're doing this whole Second Amendment thing. We'll get to that in a minute. But bottom line, those jury boxes, those are important boxes too. And tying back into some stuff, you know, we talk all the time about innocent until proven guilty, or we should anyway, because that's one of the tenets of our system of government. But too often now, we're tried and convicted in social media. We're tried and convicted on the soapbox and not in the jury box. We do this to our local barista that's serving your chocolate cocoa maca latte or whatever. I don't know. I don't drink that stuff. I drink my coffee black like it was intended to be. But anyway, we do that whenever they say something that goes out of turn with whoever is controlling the switch on the social media platforms, whoever's wanting to be politically correct or incorrect or whatever the case may be. And we try and we convict them in the public platforms out there, like the social medias, and on your media, some of them have comment sections. You know, that happens anytime there's a cop shooting somebody, or somebody shooting a cop, or somebody walking into a school and shooting up a school, or somebody stabbed somebody, or they left their daughter in a hot car, or whatever. The court of public opinion has just gotten out of control. And we're convicting people and we're ruining their lives without sitting in the jury box. And that's bad. Because, again, that's one of the 4 places that freedom is kept and liberty is kept, in the jury box. And it's gotten so hard now because we're so interconnected. For the jury selection process, it's always been kind of difficult to find these impartial folks to cast judgment on an individual, because wow, there's so much knowledge at the tip of our fingers right now with this whole internet thing. So it's hard to go into a jury box without knowing something. And I already had a preconceived notion of what you're going to do. Because a lot of times by the time it gets to trial, it's already been tried in the media. It's already been tried on the social media platforms. It's always been tried in the newspapers. Because we're so interconnected now, we know so much, or we think we know so much anyway, that we forget that the jury box is a box where we should be guarded and protected and innocent until proven guilty. So that's a challenge for you in today's time. You know, I used to kid, if I ever get selected for jury duty, I'd just say, hey, I'll make a great jurist because I don't need to hear any evidence. I can tell if a man's guilty just by looking at him. Well, I won't do that. Because I do believe that's kind of hypocritical of me to just made that joke. And if I ever get called for jury duty again, now of course I didn't make that joke then, but if I ever get called for jury duty again, I'm going to try my best to be an objective jury and listen to what's going on, what the lawyers present, what the judge instructs me. Absolute doubt, shadow of doubt, whatever you want to call it. We've got to stop convicting people from our soapboxes and start convicting them again in the jury box, and not try to influence the jurists with our crazy opinions and conspiracy theories and whatever else. And the final box that freedom is kept in and liberty is kept in is a box that a lot of people don't fully understand either. And they all tie together. See, all these boxes are kind of tied together because they're all bound together in the Bill of Rights. That thing I said you should be voting for. The final box that liberty is kept in whoops, right here. The cartridge box. Because I'm not making bullets here. A lot of people call them a bullet. That's not a bullet. This is a bullet. I've made bullets. This is for a 38 special. Lead round nose that I cast myself out of range scrap. Hey, recycling. Environmentally friendly, right? Except for the lead. Ooh, lead. It's found in nature, folks. And yeah, it's not too friendly. But hey, it's not going to kill you just by looking at it or touching it. But anyway, I'm getting off track there again. I'm making cartridges for my cartridge box. Now, the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. Quite a powerful amendment. So there's a lot of power in this little bullet hell that does go into, among other things, weapons like my AR-15. It goes in these 30-round super evil 30-round magazines that may just jump up and start killing me all of a sudden, depending on who you talk to. But the founders put that in there for a lot of different reasons, and you'll hear different folks through the course of the argument there on both, on both sides of the coin talk about defending from tyranny of a overreaching government. Well, there's that. There is something to that. That's not all there is to that. Part of that oath I talked about earlier that I took when I joined the Army in 1987 and retired in 2008 after 21 years of doing my thing. A lot of times I found myself overseas and going into the cartridge box and putting this cartridge to work, doing what it's intended to do. And we can't kid each other about what this thing is intended to do. It's intended to do one thing and one thing only. No, two. No, one. It's intended to destroy stuff. Whether that is a life, a piece of paper, clay pot, whatever the target is. Rabbit, squirrel, human being, steel silhouette, Coke bottle. It's intended to destroy stuff. That's what it does. That's what firearms do, folks. That's what these bullets do that are loaded into these cartridges. They go into the cartridge box. They come out of the cartridge box sometime and go into the magazine. None of them have a conscience. But you do. Going back to that jury box. Because what you do with these is entirely up to you as an individual. An individual. All these things are individual liberties. How you use them is up to you. Not me. Not the government. But how you use your individual liberties is up to you. Now, when they penned that Second Amendment, they kept something in mind. It's like my oath against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. I guarantee you that was on their mind. They just fought a revolution. They just threw off a monarchy. And they wanted to make sure that would never happen again. And they said something in there about the security of a free state. Now, I don't think they're talking about the state of Texas or the state of Connecticut or the state of Washington. They're talking about the state of freedom. And going back to my oath again, all enemies, both foreign and domestic. Now, they knew full well that at that particular time, and at this particular time, that our sovereignty had to be protected. And because firearms existed, because arms existed, they knew it had to be protected with arms. So they penned the Second Amendment. Now, they penned that knowing that the people are the ones, those individuals, that wield liberty, either in a jury box, ballot box, soap box, or cartridge box. Those individuals are the ones that will defend it. That's why the right of the people shall not be infringed, because you, my friend, whether you know it or not, are part of the militia. Because it's your duty to defend freedom, defend liberty, out of one of those four boxes. Now, I'll tell you, I've already used these, like I said. I put men in the ground. Am I proud of it? Yeah, I don't know. A little bit. I'm proud of my service. But I tell you what, killing people is hard to live with. The actual act of pulling the trigger and sending this little pill downrange to impact a target that just a few seconds before was a living, breathing human being. It was somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's uncle, somebody's cousin, somebody's world. And you take that away from the world, that's kind of hard to live with. And I hope that none of you out there listening to me right now, if you haven't done it already, ever have to face that in your lifetime. And I really sincerely hope that I never have to do it again, because it's really not pleasant. It's really not pleasant to live with and think about. But I guarantee you this: whenever the folks in Russia or China or whatever world power that may ever come to pass on the planet, whenever they think about maybe we ought to go take over the United States, maybe we ought to go over there and start a fight in this great state of Texas or Colorado or wherever they want to start this mess with us, whenever that comes to their little heads and they're in there planning and wargaming exactly how that invasion is going to work, exactly how that fight is going to work out for them, they have to put you in that fight, friend. They have to plan on you, the people that shall not be infringed. They have to think about that individual exercising his individual right to get into that cartridge box and defend freedom for the rest of us. And whenever, got to crimp that one, but I got it. And whenever those folks that you elect with your ballot at the ballot box, whenever they go up to Washington, D.C. or the State House in Austin or wherever they're at, they have to think about that too as they go about their business of trying to make laws. Because they go up there and they take an oath too. And some of that has to do with that Bill of Rights. So they have to think about you as an individual that has that Second Amendment, just like you have that First Amendment or that Fifth Amendment, to defend liberty. So they have to kind of think about, if I take this law too far, are the people going to take up arms against us? And some of you think, well, hey, well, what about the military? What's your AR-15 going to do against a tank? Well, guys and gals on that side of the coin that think about that kind of thing, we think about it too. Again, I told you, I spent 21 years in the United States Army Infantry. Not all those were fighting wars. Not all those were jumping out of airplanes and doing exciting stuff. A lot of times, I was being bored on guard duty for something silly like a crate of water or whatever the case may be for hours on end, doing nothing but talking amongst yourself. Because it really wasn't a threat, but you had to guard it anyway, other than a common thief. They might come and take it, and there's plenty of those in the Army too. But a lot of those discussions we have in the middle of the night on these long guard shifts, or what do we do whenever the government says we're going to disarm the civilians populations? We're going to take away the AR-15, because guess what? A whole lot of us are big fans of the AR-15. We wouldn't have joined the military in the first place. So we think about that. And it's not just the lower enlisted guys too. I've got folks that I know that are higher up in the military, and they feel the same way. You know, if you go back in history and look at our Civil War, one of the ugliest periods of our history, it wasn't like it was just the Southern guys with the slave owners that stood up and said, "Hey, we're going to fight the U.S. military." There were some folks in the U.S. military that said, "Hey, you know, we're going to go fight with those guys, and we're going to take our guys with us, and we're going to take our arms with us," and they did. And we all know how the dust settled on that. What we don't know is how the dust settled on the next one. Will there be a next one? I really hope not. I really, really hope it never gets there, because, friends, I'm telling you, it's something you don't want to live with. Whenever you go to that cartridge box and load your magazine and put that firearm to work, and you destroy a human life, no matter what the cause. It's hard to live with. So, folks, think about that when you hit that ballot box. Individual responsibility is tough. That's why we have the jury box. That's why we have the ballot box. That's why I'm up here on my soapbox. That's why I'm loading my cartridge box. Mostly I'm loading my cartridge box because I like to shoot. It's fun. But if it ever comes down to defending my liberty, I'm going to. If I have to defend your liberty, I'm going to. Whether that be in the ballot box, voting the way I think you should vote, whether it be in the jury box because you did something dumb and wind up getting arrested and tried. We're going to see if you actually are guilty as charged. And I'm going to try to do as objectively as I can without listening to too many people up on their soapboxes. Or, you know, if I see you getting beat down by 6 or 8 guys and I come upon that and, you know, I need to neo-Nazi skinheads beating the tar out of some black dude or some Jewish guy or just some random person just for the hell of it. And, you know, I might have to take action and bust one off in them. I hope not. Again, I don't want to live with that. But I'm going to defend that security of a free state. Your state of freedom, your right to be. Whatever that may be. So, again, Happy New Year. The days and years to come, I wish you health, happiness, and prosperity. Because you know what, bottom line, I've traveled a lot of different countries in my lifetime. And I always couldn't wait to get back home to the good old USA. Happy New Year, folks.